What's up? Welcome everybody. Another Thursday night, and I'm excited to be here today. And we're gonna do something a little bit special. On this call, we have been transitioning our underwriting call towards our Deal Tank community and our Deal Tank show, the one that we have on Saturday now, Saturday morning, which has been such a hit. Great feedback that we've been getting. Deals that have been pitched. I know a couple of them are under contract, and just really excited that we could help make that happen. Something that I do want to share is that, I just went and watched Sound of Freedom, and, I feel compelled to share about the movie. Because it's definitely a conversation that most people don't really want to have and to look at. I have not seen a movie that has impacted me in such a way in a really long time. It almost feels like it's not a movie, right? I think the last time that I saw a movie that kind of moved me like this was I can't even remember. Maybe like Zygus when I was like young, younger, where I felt like I'm I want to do something, it called to me. And there was a couple lines in the movie that really spoke to me a lot. A lot of you guys know that I do a call every Wednesday and Sunday on the teachings of A Course in Miracles. So it's a lot of spiritual connections and things like that. And to really listen to what is calling for us to do, like life or God or whatever you want to call it, is always directing us in a somewhere, right? And we all feel this moment of calling at some point. It's like, you know what? The calling really is I need to leave my job, or the calling is I really need to do something, right? And when we are moved to take massive action to create something, which is always a calling, God speaks through us to others. And I felt like whoever created this movie, everyone that partook in this movie, really had a message that they wanted to share. Now, it is about, child trafficking, and a serious issue that's going on in the world. And I think a lot of people can see it from a place of like, oh man, here's another issue in our world, and we live in a more fearful space. To me, I watched how I felt inspired by the character that was playing, how he went on a mission. He was first just going after and arresting pedophiles. And then somebody asked him, the calling was, okay, great. You were arresting these pedophiles, but how many children have you saved? And you can see that that was a calling, that moment. These moments in movies where it speaks to you. And there was another line in the movie that was like, when God calls, you never hesitate. You just don't hesitate. And I was like, man, like living inside of our calling, I feel like I've been dancing around my calling. I feel like there's a purpose in me delivering, doing these calls. There's always a purpose behind it. Now, I also think that if everybody was financially independent in the world, probably some of this stuff wouldn't even happen, right? They wouldn't entertain this line of business, right? If there was a safe enough space for people to share their issues, there wouldn't be this underground thing happening either. So as much as I also come from a place of like, there gets to be something gets to be done, and we need to start a war on this, or a movement on this, which is what they're trying to do, create a movement for awareness. Great. I will be part of extending this message, because I think it is something that people get to know. But also it's a calling for love, right? All the people involved, right? And me actually extending this message, it's like hope. We're trying to extend hope and faith. And these children that are in places that are so dark, and they call it like it's like the hells in the world, in our world right now, they are praying. And this movie is almost like an answer to the prayer, right? It's like just hoping to get the message out more and more. So for me, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do my part. At the end of the movie, I don't want to ruin it, but I mean, there's really nothing to ruin. It's really a movement. They ask you to pay it forward, get the message out. And the way they get it out, I mean, I've never seen this before, where they put a QR code up and you can buy tickets for other people. And so, of course, I bought a bunch of tickets for other people, like right away. I was like, yeah, definitely. And they made a point at the end. They were like, look, there's a coming to the theater to watch a movie is really the only time that we pay attention to something uninterrupted from our phones. Like if we watch a movie at home, we probably have access to our phone and we'll be texting in the middle of the movie, scrolling TikTok in the middle of the movie, but not in the movie theater. You're paying attention to the entire message. So they made a point about movies in general and how it took 5 years for them to release this movie. There was blockages along the way. Disney shut them and cut them off. Like there's a lot of people blocking it. And yeah, and Tony Robbins is an executive producer in there too. So, as soon as I posted something about it, somebody messaged me and goes, well, the person that backed it is, involved with the Clintons and are the ones that are actually child trafficking. I was like, I don't know. That's a really big speculation to me. I believe everybody, like, yeah, maybe they were involved with Tony Robbins and whatever, all the other conspiracies, but any given point, people can wake up and want to create a message because they were moved by something else. Right. And the character that was played was based on the true story. So I do feel like everybody's stepping into their purpose, living into their calling, stepping into financial independence, or at least pursuing something that is more meaningful too. Right. Like this could be a part of ending that abundance, that compassionate frequency that we can all tap into. And I also believe that God speaks through everybody, and it does not matter what party or anything that they belong to. When they speak, they can't help it but to deliver the message that's meant to be delivered, right? Even though their acts or whatever, maybe, we may judge it, but they can't help it. Nobody can help it. What we speak into, we don't have a choice, right? The message gets delivered no matter what. That's my personal belief. You can take it how you will. And I think this movie was a great message. Throughout the movie, I had so many downloads for myself. I walked out of the movie theater feeling inspired and like, okay, I get to step my game up. Like I get to step deeper into my calling. Like, am I doing something that passionate? Do I have a strong enough why behind everything that I'm doing? And I walk out to the casino, just people just hitting buttons and gambling. I'm like, I scratch my head. I'm like, this is the world just goes around and around, and nobody really cares about things that are tough conversations to have. Nobody really wants to hear it. And if somebody's up to something big, we like tear it down. We look for a reason why it shouldn't happen. We look for the wrong things in it. Right. I think there was another thing written that somebody was like, hey, well, why don't you read this article? I'm like, oh my God. I barely started talking about Sound of Freedom and it's already getting so much resistance. And it's just like, why? Right. And they're like, well, the person that funded the movie, they came in, they came and they funded the movie, but you know how much money they made? I'm like, probably not nearly as much as Top Gun or Mission Impossible. Probably not even remotely close to it. Right. So if this awareness is being made, like the least we can do is go and pay attention to it. Right. Whether we want to retell the story or not, like let this come into our awareness. And the movie was great. It wasn't like, it was pretty action packed the whole time. Like I wasn't like falling asleep or anything. Whenever I go to the movies and they have one of those like loungy chairs, without a doubt, I fall asleep. Okay. I fell asleep to the last 3 movies that we went to. There's really no reason for me to go to movies. I just fall asleep. Even when we watch The Flash, we watch, Mission Impossible. We went to an IMAX where they didn't have a reclining chair. so I wasn't falling asleep. And it was Mission Impossible was ridiculous. All right. So, I wanted to share that. I wanted to kind of just, just pay it forward with the message. And, the movie at the end, the actor came on and asked us to pass the message on, just pass it on. So I'm like, okay, I will. Right, minimum what I can do. So on this call, I wanted to do that. Now, usually we underwrite deals and we talk about deals, how to get into deals. Today, we have, I wanted to feature some of the people that I've been working with and how they've been creating success and what they've learned around me. So they can share it, and maybe, you guys can see how, that it's not just about the numbers either. There's so much to learn. Real estate, becoming financially free, there are so many pieces of the puzzle we can't possibly cover on one call. And it's always growing, it's always evolving. As I evolve, I always want to share it. So, one quick announcement is that next Monday on the rookie roundtable call, Brad Sumrock will be joining us. He was messaging me, asking me, like, I told him last time, he was like, hey, when do you want me to join your call? I'm like, when it gets closer to your AIM.com event, you can do that. Because, at the same time, when everything I do, I want to have call to actions for things, right? So I'm like, on the call, I want you to offer everybody on my calls like the best price that they can get to go to your event. So we're going to talk about his story. And Brad is also, of all the different mentors and teachers of real estate that I've seen out there, he's the most philanthropical one, tropical, right? That I can see, like, not just talking about doing some good or showing up to what's it, one of those feed the homeless or whatever, one of those things. Like, he takes 100+ people to like a third world country. They donate wheelchairs to people that can't, that disease that they can't move their muscles. I forget what it is. Again, every time I forget, I look it up and then I forget again. So something about it I must really need to pay more attention to, because my ego is actively blocking it somehow. But so Brad's going to be joining us, and it's really interesting because, of all the different masterminds that I'm part of, I feel like Brad and I connect the most. And he's always like, hey, how come you didn't join my mastermind? You're a part of every single one but mine. I'm like, I don't know, dude, but I feel the most connected to you. And I feel like we're boys. I don't know what it is. Right. And right now, I'm just not in the place that I'm trying to join masterminds either, because I'm in like 5 different ones. Right. I'm in 5 different ones. I'm trying to build my own thing right now, do my own deals. And, would love to at some point, collab. So, but he's like the only one. Him and maybe like Robin Martinez. Like he texts me and things like that. So yeah, I'm really excited to have him on the call on Monday. I do actually consider him a friend. When he came to Vegas, he actually called me and we hung out, which is like, I'm like, whoa, okay, cool. Brad Sumrock. So he's probably one of the OG mentors. He's been mentoring people longer than anybody else really in the game that I know. He's been doing for like 13 years or something, and he's helped probably thousands of people um make $1 million or retire from real estate investing. So his whole thing is helping you retire within 5 years through apartment investing. So I'm excited. I'm going to pick his brain. I'm going to get the formula. I want to know what the formula to that is. Right? What is your formula to say that you can help people retire in 5 years? I want the math. So I'm gonna push him on that on Monday. He doesn't know how much I'm gonna push him, but of course I'm also gonna be, making him, I want to showcase the great things that he's done as well, because he has, in my eyes, and anybody that is a part of Tony Robbins programs, I think is probably up to something that is more deeply connected, right? More purposeful. It's not just like, oh, I'm trying to make a whole bunch of money, or I'm trying to reach a bunch of people, teach them financial literacy. Okay, cool. Everyone's doing that. But what moves you really? Right. So Tony teaches a lot into that. Like he's always talking about philanthropy things that matter more to us, and making us look deeper into our emotions and things like that. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Brad. He's part of Tony's Platinum mastermind. And I know whenever we talked, he was on my podcast, when he was live with me on my virtual conference, he talked about how that is the number one mentor that he has. And when he joined Tony's conference, he wasn't even there to see Tony Robbins. Like so many years ago, he went to see somebody else, and Tony just happened to be speaking on stage too. And he was like, I need to meet this person. And so I love it. He's great. So that's what who we're gonna have next Monday night. I hope you guys can schedule your time and show up there, and before his event, right? If you are going to his event, getting a chance to know him and talk to him like live in a small intimate session, like who doesn't want that? Whenever we go to conferences, are we like, damn, I wish we had some one-on-one time with the speaker? This is the opportunity. This is the chance. All right. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. And so we're gonna kind of on this call just showcase some of the people that I have been working with. And I asked if anybody wanted to start sharing on Thursday nights. I want to showcase more people around me, people's successes, what they've learned. And it's not just you guys hearing me talk every single week. So perhaps Thursday calls will start to move towards that. And maybe you guys, if you have other success stories that you want to share, this will be the space for anybody, and even you, Allie, because I know you want to speak in front of rooms of people at some point. uh okay, so I'm gonna start with Natalia. Natalia has been mentoring and coaching and working with me for many years now. She's my fellow um uh what is the word that I'm looking for in A Course in Miracle, fellow student teacher in A Course in Miracles, and lots of things. We have a lot of alignment in our lives. And yeah, I'm just really excited to showcase and share and have Natalia share a little bit about herself and what you've learned. So yeah, I'm going to give you the floor, Natalia. Everybody, here you go. I'm gonna make your face big too.
Awesome. Thank you. Hi everyone. Good evening. Good to see you. A lot of familiar faces and a lot of unfamiliar new faces for me. For some of you that do not know me, my name is Natalia Pasos. I was born and raised in Argentina, and I moved to Miami at the age of 11. And just a little background about me. I moved here when I was 11 and I went to law school. Then later, I decided to leave the legal field and I became 100% committed to real estate. And along that path, that's when, I started working with Alex and things started getting clearer and clearer for me. And I'll start with Alex mentioned the movie. And so all these like synchronicities are no coincidences. The last call, I think it was an ACIM call, he said something about Kung Fu Panda. And so and so he mentioned that movie and I watched it. And one of the lines that stuck with me, as I heard you now speak about this other movie and the impact that it made, and I feel like that's one of the purposes, right? Not so much about what the movie is per se, but it's like the impact that it's making and then the impact it's making in your life. And so you decide to share it forward. And so the line in Kung Fu Panda, I actually took a picture and so I'll share it with you. It says, when will you realize the more you take, the less you have? And that just like landed in such a way for me. And I can just think of so many ways. When will you realize the more you take, the less you have? And I think it goes back to the foundation of what Legends is about and how we're here for each other and how we're here to collaborate instead of competing, how we're here to lift each other up. When somebody's struggling, the other one's there to support each other and to lift. And just like today, how Alex is sharing his stage with other members of his community so that we can step up as leaders and share a little bit of ourselves, our path, and how we, now myself and then somebody else that will share, how we can impact the lives of others. And so with that being said, I prepared a little presentation. I have followed, I know success leaves clues, and I have seen Alex present. And so I've made a presentation and I sent it to you, Alex. I don't know if you received it. There you go. So one of the first things that came to mind was, what am I going to talk about today? And I didn't really know what I was going to speak about at the moment that Alex presented the opportunity.
I,
And he
I I
presented this.
actually don't. I've never seen this. So I'm excited.
Oh, you haven't seen it? Okay,
No,
great.
no.
So he shared with us, guys, and this is one of the things that I love about being in this community and surrounding myself with people like Alex, is because the openness to creating together, to giving the opportunity for us to step up and creating leaders in the community that can turn around and do the same thing that he did for us that we can do for others. And it's in that ripple effect. And so, of course, I thought, you know what? Some of the things that have really impacted me about this community that I would love to share is about mindset. And this picture right here, it's like exactly what Legends is all about, is we encourage each other and we lift each other up so that we can achieve greater things together. Can I?
I will move it for you if you need. I mean,
Uh,
I don't know. Next.
yeah,
Oh,
next.
okay. Nice transition.
Uh, great. So what's shifting from results focused to identity focused? So I myself, I was, and I still, there's some part of me that is very results oriented. And I think it was Tony Robbins, 20, that you started the call with this, that said that to shift from being results focused to identity focused is not so much about the deal that we're closing. It's not so much about the race, the finish line. It's about the person that I'm becoming in the getting to the finish line. It's about the person that I'm becoming in closing that deal, in raising the funds to close the deal. It doesn't matter. And so I'll share a little bit about, like, we're going through this process of this deal that we have in Vegas as the Legends. And so in the process, it wasn't about me getting one of my investors to invest in the property. In this process, I realized that it was about the person that I became in order to get ourselves here. And so I myself didn't get an investor into this opportunity. However, in the speaking and opening the doors with all these different investors, I started opening doors and opportunities. And so now I have new built relationships and I have people with whatever their buy boxes are. And although they were not willing to invest in Vegas, now I know what they're looking for. And on my own path of becoming a capital raiser, I have now opened and developed new relationships with people. And so it's not about how many investors I got into Las Vegas deal. It's about the opportunities that opened, the doors that I've opened, and the relationships that I've developed, and the person that I became in order to start opening those relationships. And then along those lines, getting clear with my why and my purpose. Like I said, success leaves clues. I watch Alex very clearly. And the same way that I do with Alex, I do with other people like Grant Cardone, Chris Luna, everybody that surrounds themselves in this community. I am watching and I'm seeing if something has worked for them, clearly that can work for me. And if it has worked for me and it has worked for you, it can work for everybody else. So why not share it? And yeah, so some of those things that I've noticed is the power of creating great habits. And along those lines is, how do I break old habits? one of the things that I've noticed is, for example, in Alex social media, like success doesn't happen overnight. He has established and he's been consistent with posting every day. So that's one of the things that I started doing myself. Um, and I'll share with you some of the ways that it has gotten easier for me, and I've created new habits in order to make this a consistent and a long-term plan. Next, please. So the source for this is Atomic Habits. One of the things that I love doing is reading and gathering information from different sources and combining them and being able to deliver so that it can impact others the same way that it has impacted me. I am no like Sage, I'm a pioneer in this. So I'm right there with you. I don't know or I don't have all the answers. I can share my journey and I can share with you so that we can do this together. Like I said, one of the things in the community is that we encourage each other. We have set up like small groups. We also have like our buddy system. And one of the things that we did together as a community was to run the Spartan race. And so I wanted to do this. And the moment that I said yes to it, I started building kind of like habits that supported me to achieve. So it wasn't about getting to the finish line, it was about the person that I became. So in this community, I was able to surround myself with the people that wanted to do this alongside with me. And so we together ran the Spartan race together. And that created a massive, incredible like move forward. And one of the things that the book says is I started implemented. So if I wanted to become a runner, it wasn't about finishing the race. If I wanted to become this runner, then I needed to, one, make it obvious, make it attractive, and make it easy for myself. How did I make it obvious? So I started doing things that kind of like habit stacking. What does that mean? I used a previous habit that I had in place and I stacked it right next to it. So if I wanted to, let's use the example of A Course in Miracles. I do the Course in Miracles calls with Alex every Wednesday and every Sunday at 10 a.m. If you guys have not joined us, like that would be something awesome for you to come in and check that out. I highly recommend it. And so I wanted to establish a practice of meditating every day. And I stacked it with a previous habit. I wake up in the morning, I open my eyes. That happens every day. So I said, okay, I'm going to wake up before I brush my teeth. I'm going to do my Course in Miracles meditation. And so I spent a half hour before I grab my phone, before I check my email, I go ahead and do A Course in Miracles. And I had made it a habit. In my life, before that, before stacking this habit to something else, I wasn't able to meditate consistently. It's been now approximately 6 months since I started, and I've been meditating every day consistently. Every morning when I wake up, before I grab my phone, I wake up, I meditate, I do my lessons from A Course in Miracles, and the results are cumulative. The compound effect is real. And so that's one of the ways to make it easy for yourself to establish a good habit. Another thing is to make it really attractive. So for running every other day, it was difficult for me to stay consistent. So has anybody here, and I'd like to engage the audience a little more, does anybody here have a habit that you'll like to start with that you would like to make more attractive, for example? Cardio, great, excellent. So one of the things that I started doing was when I started running, I could not, for the love of God, make this a consistent thing. I would go in and out, in and out, even though I had set myself, okay, we're going to do this race, but it was just so difficult for me to like So what I did is I made it attractive. What does that mean? I stacked it with something else that I like doing. So although I don't love weights, good sleep hygiene. Okay, great. So in this case, for cardio, you can use this for anything. So I myself love the beach. And so I had the idea of like, okay, how do I make this attractive? If I go run by the beach, I put my bathing suit underneath my workout gear and I run for 45 minutes. I run for 3 miles. And once I complete that, I made it attractive by running by the beach, looking at the ocean, and then I took a swim because I love the ocean. So I would ask you, Alex, if you want to stick with cardio, how can you make cardio attractive? So, what is it that you love that you can either reward yourself for it or you can stack it so that, like, okay, when I do this, then I'm also going to be doing this at the same time. So it could be attractive.
I love to do these calls, but I don't know. I don't know about before and after these calls going for a run. I don't know about A Course in Miracles before and after going for a run. I love the gym too, and I've been trying to. Miriam wants to run a marathon. I wish I could even dream or want to run a marathon. I just hate running and cardio so much. It's really getting crazy. Like I'm getting ridiculously big and I want to I've been trying to trim down and lose weight and I'm just getting, I'm doing heavy weights and I love it and I'm getting really strong, but I'm just getting
I have an
larger and
idea
larger.
for you.
Okay.
You can either take it or leave it. So we'll go to the next slide.
Okay.
And so if the making it attractive doesn't work, how can you make it unattractive? So if you love doing the Course in Miracles calls, let's say you want to start art cardio one day of the week. And if you don't cardio one day of the week, then you don't attend your ACIM call.
Oh, snap.
And that could be like that's how you make things unattractive. I remember you sharing something about like it was like, oh no, you don't like the cold plunges, and so you would do the cold. But I
Oh,
feel
the
like
extreme punishments that I was doing for
the
myself.
extreme
Okay.
punishment. But in this case, by making it unattractive, you already have a commitment to the ACIM call, so this would be an added. So unless you complete the once a week cardio, so maybe you can try
Okay,
it.
I think I am going to try that. That might actually work. I think for running, I may need to have this extreme punishment for myself. Okay.
So on here, right, so you make it invisible, you make it unattractive, and these are ways that you can break bad habits. We'll go on the next one.
Yeah, I think Svella wanted to say something. Go ahead, Svella. Tell me how I
Oh, go
can do
ahead.
cardio.
Howdy, everybody. Natalia, great talk. You're amazing. So Alex, of course, is amazing. Everybody. What I make it attractive for me, when I was bigger, like Alex is saying, is getting there. Running was uncomfortable. So I'm getting back to it right now. So I start cycling. So I cannot do it too consistent. I'm driving a truck, but how I make it attractive is super fun. Actually, every time I go to the beach, instead of going with the truck, bobtail or something, I go to the beach with my bike. So I prepare my backpack, but I put my boom box in my backpack and I blast it to the fullest so everybody can hear me while I'm cycling. And I play any music that I like. So I get so many compliments. Oh, this is a cool. And I play the 70s, 80s, and the 90s, like old school. So everybody loves it pretty much. So that's my attractive part. And my reward, like you put in your bathing suit, once I get to the beach, I start like light jogging on the beach because it's so good for your ligaments. It's very healthy. I go like 20, 30 minutes one way and I come back. And my super reward is then I jump into the ocean, I fight the water, and I jump into the waves. So, that's me. So every time I get the chance, I was doing this in California also, and Florida, and that's my cue.
Bro, please send the video of you blasting your music down the beach next time. I want to see it.
Okay, Sure.
So Natalia, somebody asked, what do you mean make it invisible?
Yeah, I'll clarify that. So these are three ways of breaking a bad habit. So you can either do it, how do I create a new habit? And then I suggested to Alex, how do we break the bad habit of not running? And so create how we're going to break, how Alex is going to work at breaking the bad habit of not running is by making it unattractive, which is number two, by not attending his ACIM calls. Now, making it invisible. Let's say Miriam wants to become a runner, or she's already a runner and wants to run a marathon. So if the becoming is I'm becoming a runner, perhaps eating healthy would be a habit that would support her. So if she were to have a habit that she eats unhealthy, let's say she loves cookies or sugars, and that is something that she wants to break or stay away from, it's a habit that she wants to break, then she would make it invisible and she would remove it for her environment. So that's something that I actually do. I just said Miriam in this case because she said she wanted to run. So I love sweets. And that's one of the things I like to stay away from, especially because I am becoming a runner. So I go to the supermarket and I don't buy anything that has added sugar. And it's not, if you go to my kitchen, you can't find it in my kitchen. Now, I understand some people have roommates, other people live with families. And so you might have to purchase things that you perhaps don't eat in your house. So that's when number three comes into place. You can make it difficult for you to find. So let's say you do purchase your cookies for your children or for your spouse. Then you can stay away from the cookies by adding more steps between your hand and the cookie. And that's basically how it works. I hope that cleared it.
Great.
Awesome. So any other questions here? I can move on.
Oh, you can move on.
Awesome. All right. So going back, let's bring it back to real estate. And although, we all know that all these things we can apply. So like when we were going over habits, let's say your habit is you want to underwrite one deal per day. So you want to make it easy for yourself. You want to make it attractive. So what are you going to do in order for you to underwrite it? How do you make it easy? You can perhaps stack it with your lunch. Let's say you want to split your lunch in half. I'll eat for half an hour, and then the next half hour, I'll underwrite one deal. You're making it easy. You're using habit stacking. Boom. How do you make it attractive? Reward yourself with something if by the end of the week you have underwritten 7 deals. Amazing. So going back to here, the power of being consistent. So these are 3 things that I've looked at that I really love. It's the piñata effect, the 3 feet from gold, and 2 millimeters. These are all different things that I've taken from different places. The power one more at my Let's Share is the piñata effect. And I'll go more into detail on the next slide, please. Thank you, Alex. So is this idea of like, there is no such thing as like an overnight success. We can't close the deal on one day. It takes the accumulation of steps that we take every single day. So if you have just begun this journey, or you're like me, that you have put yourself in your position to raise capital for a deal, and you have not yet found a person that would like to invest in an ongoing deal. It is about the person you're becoming, and it is about the accumulation of all the steps that you're taking. So the piñata effect, was the piñata bust right open with the first kid that hits the piñata? No, it takes the accumulation of things that you do on a daily basis that assists and helps you to get to the place where you want to be and getting all the amazing things from the piñata. One of the things, and kind of like the motto in Legends, is that we don't ever give up. And if it's one thing that this deal that we've been working together is not only that we don't give up and we have given it over to the Holy Spirit and then we have done, and who's the person we're becoming in the process of getting there. Together as a team, we have not given up and we have learned from each other. Had Alex given up like before it was time to get to where we got, then we would not have received all the lessons and all the benefits that we've received and that we have yet to receive from this deal closing. And this 3 Feet Away from Gold story, it's in a book by Napoleon Hill. And it basically says that it's a story that there was this guy that was like mining for gold, and he got to a point where he gave up and he didn't have any more resources. He didn't know where to go. He didn't have the answers. And so he sold the land to somebody else. That somebody else that purchased the land went ahead and hired a professional who knew about mining. And the the end of the story basically says that, of course, they got to the mine of gold, they found the gold, and only to find out that it was only 3 feet away from where the previous person had left it off. And so the moral of the story here is that we can take from this is that not giving up and knowing that every action that we take is taking us closer to the person that we want to become and where we want to be. And the Las Vegas deal that we have is like the perfect example for that. Wouldn't you think so, Alex?
Yeah, totally.
Any questions? I
You're
put the
doing great.
cookies in the back bottom shelf so no one sees them. Then we forget about them. Yes, I once found I did that once. I put an ice cream on the bottom shelf of the freezer. And I think like 6 months later, we found ice cream and I was like, oh my God. So that totally works. Thank you for sharing that, Monica. I love that. Um,
Couple more minutes. How many more slides are there?
no, that's it. It's
Oh,
like
okay. All right,
two
cool, cool,
more.
cool. All right.
And then I was just inspired to, I'll share that in a little bit. So yeah, so going back to the 2 millimeter rule, this one is shared by Tony Robbins and basically says it's the idea of like sometimes is the smaller changes and that makes the biggest and amazing results. And this reminded me of the Michael Blank sheet. You know how sometimes you change numbers around and like the smallest change in percentage can give you the biggest increase on your third page, on your results page. So sometimes we think we're far away from goals. Sometimes we think we have to make massive changes in our lives in order to achieve a different result. But sometimes it's just a small result that yields a massive, and a small change that yields a massive result.
Yeah,
And
another way to also look at it is like, when a plane moves its like meter like off by like a centimeter on their guide, on their like instrument, it goes like miles and miles off target. Just like a little tiny,
yeah,
yeah, being off a little bit. That's yeah.
yeah, the story that Tony Robbins shares is about golf. And I don't know if there are many golfers here, but basically it's like 2 millimeters. Like if you hit the ball 2 millimeters away from where you hit it before, when you hit it, when you the result is it's incredibly different.
Hmm. Gotcha.
And yeah, and I just shared this quote that I would like to read, and basically it's what brings me back to community and the power of belonging and the importance to finding yourself a team, a community where you can belong. I love Brene Brown, and so this is why I share this. A deep sense of love and belonging is a need of all people. We're biologically, cognitively, physically, and spiritually wired to love, be loved, and belong. And I feel like that's why we work so well in teams. I've been able to discover my gifts and see what those are in community within the Legends team and within other communities in my own life. And the more that I surround myself in team, the more I get to discover what that is and share that with the world. And then when those needs are not met, we don't function as we were meant to. We break, we fall apart, we numb, we ache, we hurt others, and we get sick. By Brene Brown. So, and then the next slide, it's my information. I would love to get to know you more. I would love to connect with you. So feel free to schedule a one-on-one call on my Linktree. Follow me on Instagram or Facebook. And inspired by your talk, Alex, I was not planning this. However, I will be offering a mindset coaching for those of you that are interested in getting to know me better. Schedule a call, and I will do a $500 a month, up to 10 people. If anybody would like to register, feel free to reach out. And I will be your girl for your mindset coaching, whether it's things that you want to achieve in the real estate area in parts of your life. I'll be there for you, rooting along the way.
I like it. Good job. You need a QR code is what you need next.
I need a Nick.
You need a Nick. You need a QR code. And awesome. Great presentation. Good job.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I think I got some ideas for you. There's definitely some things. I love what you shared. I love that you created a call to action at the end. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, thank you. You guys can reach out to Natalia. She's amazing. And we're gonna bring on our next guest, speaker, Dwight. Go ahead, Dwight.
Hello, testing. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Wonderful. So glad. Okay, so I have a presentation. Can I just share my screen?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay.
Great. I love that you guys all got presentations. You guys are freaking prepared.
Yeah, I don't think mine's going to be quite as pretty as this.
It looks about as good as the ones that I make. That's why Nick makes them for me.
I don't even think it's that good, but it's good for me to keep on topic. And I've got about 20 slides here. So I want to maybe spend
20. Hold on. Wait.
Yeah,
okay, so
there's a lot. So I want to go through them quickly if possible, or I could just do half of them.
Yeah. Let's keep it to like 15 minutes.
Right. Okay. All right. Here's the fast version.
Let's do it.
Okay. All right. So first topic here is long, medium, and short-term rentals. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the difference here between these. So when we talk about multifamily housing, we're talking about long-term rentals. When we talk about Airbnb, we're talking about short-term rentals. But there's also this in between. And I think there's an overlap. There's big communities out there for Airbnb, just like there are here for multifamily, and I can see that overlap. It's usually in medium-term rentals, and that's also known as corporate housing sometimes. That is when you have a fully furnished unit that is month to month, usually is the lease term, and so that can work well in apartment buildings, and that can also work well in houses. Sometimes people default to medium-term rentals if they can't get a license for short-term rentals. We'll talk a little bit more about licensing in a moment, but medium-term rental, just a little definition there, fully furnished, usually corporate housing or digital nomad type of guests, and they are month to month usually. Okay, next slide here. All right, so type of the house that you would get. Well, let me talk a little bit about my Airbnb criteria, especially here in Las Vegas. When I'm looking for a house, I really want it to be have as many bedrooms as possible. That allows as many people as possible to rent the house. And I wanted to have a swimming pool. Even if people don't use the pool, they see it in photos, and that really attracts them. You can add a hot tub later, but you really can't add a swimming pool very easily to a house that you purchase. So those are some of my main criteria. You also want to be really close to the strip. This can apply to any city, though. Even if you don't have a strip, you want to be kind of close to the action. What draws people into your city? And how can you get as many people in there as possible? Even if you don't have many bedrooms, you can still have couches that can sleep people in the living room, or maybe convert a den or a office into a bedroom, because you really don't need closets for short-term rental guests. Let's talk a little bit about Airbnb and licensing. It's getting more and more difficult. In Las Vegas, it's already extremely difficult. They really make you jump through 100 flaming hoops to get a license. I do have a license here, and I've been trying very hard to get a second one, and it's nearly impossible. So that's unfortunate. I have another house in Eugene, Oregon, that it is super easy to get licensed. They just basically want to know you have a local contact, and they want to get some of those taxes. You need to pay the government, right? So there are much less taxes in Eugene than they are in Las Vegas, and the rules and regulations are basically none in Eugene. Whereas here in Las Vegas, they have even the fire marshal needs to come over to your house and inspect every little detail, and you need to update your house because of it, and you need to get voted on by the city council and the mayor. It's a whole rigmarole. Took me a year and a half, even with a lawyer and all of that. So getting licensed, you want to make sure when you're getting into the Airbnb business that you really look into licensing, because you don't want to be running an unlicensed business. Sooner or later, it turns into a big snafu, and you can get a lien on your house and then not be able to refinance or sell it. Next, amenities. When you're looking at Airbnb houses, real quick, let's talk about the amenities. It's in addition to a swimming pool, that's something that's built into the house. You can also have additional amenities, such as a hot tub that I mentioned, that you can add to the house. A pool table, that's an amenity that you can add to the house. Having smart TVs in every bedroom, that's a nice amenity that you can add to the house. Even things that you might think wouldn't be necessary, like giving the guests access to the washer and dryer, allowing them to use a vacuum cleaner. These type of things are really important, and they show up in Airbnb. They give you a better audience because you can check all these little boxes, and when people are searching, they're going to be searching for houses with those amenities. You want to check as many of those amenity boxes as possible. Next, beds and linens. When I'm filling an Airbnb house or a medium-term rental with beds and linens, I actually end up going with these pretty cheap memory foam mattresses, and people love them. They're really great. They show up in these boxes, really shrink down and they expand out, but and they're cheap. We're talking about $150 a mattress, maybe $200, maybe $250 for a king. And another thing to talk about with the mattresses, I get twin XLs and kings, and that's basically it. So a twin XL, two of them together, is the exact same size as a king. So with that, I can just buy a bunch of twin XLs, and if in one bedroom I want to make it a king, I just put them together, put the king sheet over it, and nobody even barely notices there's a little crack in the middle. And then that allows you to have a lot more flexibility in your arrangement, because you can say, house two business people in one bedroom. They can sleep in separate beds, or maybe you have a couple coming in and now you combine them and it's a king. As far as linens, I would recommend that your linens be dark gray, maybe have a pattern on them. Every once in a while you get makeup or another type of stain that you can't get out, and you could either throw the linen away or it could just not be noticed if you have a dark gray type of linens. I also think that the polyester, I guess it is, rayon, I'm not sure what they call it, but that stuff dries a lot faster. I think it's still very soft and nice, but some people, they can tell the difference when you go with Egyptian cotton and all that. So I think you could go either way on that. Just know that the cotton's going to take longer to dry. And if you have a lot of beds and one dryer, then that's going to be a bottleneck for your turnover. Furniture, real quick. Let's talk about furniture for Airbnbs. So when I am filling a house for an Airbnb with furniture, I am looking for couches that can convert into beds very easily. The ones that fold down, not the ones that you pull out. Those ones that you pull out, you're going to have your house cleaner do that every time just to check to see what the situation is with the sheets. The ones that just fold down into a bed and then the guest can put a sheet on top of it, it's much better, much easier on your housekeepers, and makes for a faster turnover. But you want high quality. You can get good furniture, even the decent quality at Wayfair or IKEA, Amazon. This stuff can work, but you should know that some people say buy nice, not thrice, and that definitely applies to furniture. So if you get the cheapest furniture, you might have to end up replacing it more often. So avoid particle board if you can, and try to make it staged with a really nicely photographed, furniture. So it needs to look good in a photograph primarily. Appliances, we could talk about this real quick. At Airbnbs, you want your appliances to be good quality. It's going to be used quite often, the dishwasher almost every day. So get a good one, your garbage disposal, things like that. But also appliances in the kitchen. You want to provide your guests with things like a slow cooker, an air fryer, a blender. These type of things guests look for, they really appreciate. It helps them blend up nice drinks for their family and things like that when they're in the house, or to cook their favorite recipe for their family, because my primary guests are usually going to be family reunions, maybe sometimes bachelorette parties, maybe sometimes business groups, but I like to focus on family reunions and make the kitchen appliances abundant and high quality so they can really cook and enjoy themselves and not think, oh, dang, if I only had this one thing. Supplies. In this case, we're talking about non-durable supplies. So when you're running an Airbnb, you're going to have a lot of toilet paper that you need to buy. You're going to have a lot of paper towels, a lot of laundry detergent, hand soap, shampoo, conditioner, body wash. These things, they go fast. So one of the things you might consider doing is, instead of taking Costco runs all the time, which I used to do quite often, but then I'd end up in the aisles buying hundreds of dollars for myself that I didn't need. So that was a little bit of a trap. You might want to consider doing the Amazon auto order. Now, I always avoided that, but I've started to use it lately, and it can be helpful. If you just have it so it automatically orders a big box of toilet paper once a month or once every 2 weeks, that can be helpful, especially if you can deliver it to a house where the guests aren't there, because they're not going to want to have a big box showing up at the front door. But perhaps your housekeepers would allow you to ship it to their house, and then they could bring it over, or maybe you have a local contact that can do that, or maybe you live in your Airbnb house or near your Airbnb house and you can do it. So get the auto deliveries. I think that might be the best bet. House cleaners. How do you get house cleaners for an Airbnb? I would say that you need to get a house cleaner that is reliable. I seem to have really had good luck with mother-daughter teams. And I usually find them by referral, word of mouth. I'll ask around, and a lot of people are getting just their regular everyday house cleaned by someone, and they're professional. You can look on a variety of sites. I can't remember the name of one, but there are a number of sites there that will specialize. Even TaskRabbit probably has some, but then there's also those big professional companies. I would avoid those if you can, because you're going to end up with a professional, made type of company. You're going to end up paying more for the management of them, and really you're going to be doing the management of their scheduling anyway. So I don't think there's a whole lot of need. Plus, they might be more used to cleaning corporate offices than houses, and so there's a whole different type of training that you need to have your house cleaners go through. I think it's better off that you just get some house cleaners that maybe are a small team, and sometimes having 2 teams is good. If they can't be reliable on every day, sometimes there's last minute changes and you need to have the other team come in and do the work. Next, handyman. You want to have a local handyman. I'm getting handier with my Airbnb houses. I've just recently installed my first dishwasher, patting myself on the back, learned a lot in the process. But especially if you're managing an Airbnb in a different city, or even if you have apartment building, multifamily, you're going to need somebody that is very handy, that may not be a licensed contractor or plumber, electrician, or anything like that, but they are very handy and they're able to come over at moment's notice and assess situations. Sometimes you will need to go to vendors, but the handyman can usually do 90% of the work and save you a lot of money. When you are renting an Airbnb from afar, you want to have a local manager. It's really important to have somebody do quality assurance inspections on the house after the house cleaners, especially the first maybe dozen times the house cleaners clean the house before they really understand your level of quality that you require. So have the local manager come over and do a perfection inspection on your house and have them give you a heads up proactively if there's anything that's starting to wear out or break. The housekeepers might overlook that type of thing. Also, the house manager or the local manager can help you with check-ins or any urgent things after hours if you're not able to get over there. Vendors on Airbnb, and I talked about this a little bit already, but I think that vendors on Airbnb are really important that you keep a spreadsheet of all the vendors. I now have spreadsheets on plumbers and electricians and roofers and pool people. So there's a lot of different vendors that you can use. And if you try one, you don't like them, mark that on a spreadsheet, take some notes. Also, before you call the vendors, you're going to want to get advice from probably 3 different vendors. Maybe you have a roof leak. You don't want to just go with the first price. You want to get a second opinion, maybe a third opinion. And that's really important to do, to keep that on the spreadsheet. Also look at Google reviews. That's a good place to know if their rating is good from other people that have used that vendor. Yard services, one such vendor. Won't touch on that too much, but get a good yard service crew. That's something that needs to happen regularly. Even if you don't have grass, you're going to want somebody to blow the leaves and dust out of the area. Pool service, same type of deal. If you have a pool, hot tub, definitely want somebody coming over there regularly. Once a week. I usually have it actually done twice a week, especially in the hot summer in Las Vegas, because pools turn green really fast with all this sunlight and heat. The algae really loves that. So make sure that your levels are perfect by having somebody come twice a week. Bug service, same thing. I thought, oh, I don't need that. I'll just buy the spray and I'll do the outside of the house. That's all they're doing anyway. But now I have relinquished control and delegated that to a company, and they come over regularly and they have a guarantee. If anybody sees a bug, they'll come over immediately for free. That's important. You don't want to have bugs. That's the surefire way to get a bad review on Airbnb. Guest communications. This is important, first and foremost. So we have to remember that Airbnb is an algorithm. Now, whether you're doing medium-term rental or short-term rental, you're going to want to be ranked up in the top of Airbnb's rankings. The first month that you have a listing, they're going to artificially put you up to the top. They're going to give you the benefit of the doubt. But after that month, it's going to be based on your communication and your rating primarily. So when it comes to communication, you need to be following up with the guests as fast as possible. There are some tools that you can use to automatically follow up with the guests, but I would recommend either having the alerts come to your phone and just saying, thanks for your question, I'll get right back to you. Something like that even can help Airbnb know that you are reaching out to them, even if you hadn't answered the guest question. This type of thing is super important for your ranking, and I would recommend it. House damage. One thing that people always wonder about with Airbnb is, well, you're letting people into your house. Aren't they going to break your house? How do you keep them from stealing stuff and breaking stuff? You'd be surprised. They are very respectful for the most part. I have been a super host for 12 quarters in a row. And that means I've had a lot of people come through my house and have given me good reviews. It also means I've given them good reviews. So that's the really important thing. Airbnb is bi-directional with reviews. And so they are usually on their best behavior. But one thing you're going to want to do is make sure that the person that you're communicating, because one person books the house, you want to make sure that they tell their entire group what the rules are, and that the person that's booking knows that they are accountable for everybody else in the group. And if something does get damaged, I think it's good to always take the high road. I don't even charge a what is it? A fee, the when there's a hold on your credit card. Can't remember what that's called, but
A
basically
deposit.
Thank you. That's the word. That's the word. Yes. I don't even charge a deposit on my house. And everybody else does. And one of the reasons is if there is damage, I'm going to have to argue with the guest and Airbnb anyway. I'm going to have photographic evidence anyway. And so having a deposit, all it does is just adds an extra hold onto their credit card. And some people can't pay for the Airbnb and that extra hold for the deposit because maybe they only have a $2,000 limit on their credit card. And so I have no deposit at all. And yes, sometimes, a couple times, there has been damage to the house. If it's less than $500, I just think it's a cost of doing business. I let it go, let it slide. Even if it's up to $1,000, and it's not worth it for me to argue and go down that road. Some Airbnb hosts think that that's a good way to make money, or maybe their ego doesn't let them let go of it. You know, oh, they're in the wrong. They did this and they broke this. Just let it go. You know, maybe give them a 3 or 4 star review, and don't pursue it. Swallow that cost.
There's a question. What would you say biggest, most common complaint from guests?
That's a great question. Well, of course I'm perfect, so I get no complaints. No, I'm just, it changes over time. I got to be honest, I've had a little bit of a cockroach issue lately, and it sounds gross and it sounds horrible, but I keep on spraying and I keep on having this company come over, and then these cockroaches, maybe because it's so hot outside, they will crawl into the middle of the living room and then they'll just die face up in the middle of the floor as their last, option. They go into the cool house thinking they're going under a rock or something. Anyway, so that's been a little bit of a complaint lately. People will find like a dead bug under a couch, and so that's a weird one, I know, but that's just on the top of my mind. But yeah, I try to make sure that nobody has complaints as far as check-in, nobody has complaints as far as the cleanliness. Every once in a while, somebody will have a complaint about the cleanliness. If they're really nitpicking little corners and things like that, you want to get a deep clean, you want to get carpet shampooed often if you have carpet. But yeah, they don't complain about location, we can't change that, but Ogden, that's a great location. My Airbnb, that's a great location. So people are never going to complain about that. And you can't move a building anyway. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, you got a couple more minutes here, so I don't know how many slides you got left.
I think I'm getting pretty close to the end.
Right.
I appreciate the allowance here. Okay, so home insurance. I think it's really important to have insurance above and beyond regular home insurance and Airbnb's air cover, as they call it these days. So some people think, oh, well, Airbnb covers it if the homeowner's insurance won't. With Airbnb, it's from what I understand, it's really a very difficult process to get an insurance payout. What you want to do is go with a company like Proper Insurance. That's the one that I use. There are a couple of them now that offer short-term rental insurance, and they know that there are guests using the house. Your home insurance is not going to cover you if they know that you rented it out during that time. There's going to be fine print, and they're going to say no. And if God forbid somebody slipped and fell and hurt themselves, they definitely wouldn't pay out, $1 million in health fees. And so that is something you really want to avoid. And first of all, make your house as safe as possible. Second of all, get short-term rental insurance so that you're covered, even if you're not renting on Airbnb. home warranty, this is when you're covering your appliances and everything that the home insurance doesn't cover. I recommend getting it, even though they're slow. Sometimes you'll say, hey, you know, my air conditioner broke or my fridge broke, and it'll take them 2, 3, 4 days to get somebody out there. That sucks, especially if you have guests in there. Sometimes you can just get somebody a lot faster and then charge them for it later if they're being slow. But regardless, I think it's worth it. Sometimes it ends up being about $100 a month, but that at least you have things covered. You know, if your refrigerator completely breaks and you need a new one, they'll buy you a new one. Oh, home warranty again. Airbnb versus VRBO. We don't really need to go into this, but do know that there's now Google Vacation Rentals. Yes, I think that's what it's called, Google Vacation Rentals. And so Google is now making a special type of search listing just for houses they find on Airbnb and VRBO and etc. I also want to mention that when it comes to multifamily and doing medium-term rentals, even hotels can list on Airbnb. They have said that it's okay to list houses and rooms on Airbnb as long as they are unique. So if you're going to do a medium-term rental with an apartment building, maybe designate 5, 10 of the units and make them a nice, unique theme. With my theme rooms up in Oregon, I made theme bedrooms up in my house in Oregon, and it was really fun. One of them was the Oregon Ducks room. That's where I went to school, and University of Oregon there. One of them was a bicycle room, and then one of them was the mushroom room, because Oregon is the first state to legalize psychedelic mushrooms. And also you can go actually foraging for mushrooms, I guess, in the forest. And so that was fun to make those themes. And I think that relates back to multifamily housing, because if you are going to want to do medium-term rentals, you can do that on Airbnb and VRBO, as long as you have it a unique space and not just the same as all the other apartments. And that's the end. My mantra is 5 stars only. It's really important for the algorithm that you always think about the guest experience. And I think that's something that we lose sight of a lot in multifamily, because we're thinking about the investors, we're thinking about the property and capital expenditure and whatnot. But when it comes to CapEx, it's really all about your guest experience or your renter experience. Even if they're in a 1-year lease, you want to think about, what is it like for me to come home to this apartment building? Is there a common area that is fun that I would want to bring my family to? Is the apartment building apartment unit itself modern and clean and nice? So always think about that as if you're going to get a review, even though usually apartments, they're not quite as review oriented as Airbnbs. You always want to think about the guest experience. You always want to go for 5 stars only.
Fun fact, actually, apartment reviews are really important too. So that people do look.
Yeah, good
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
Yeah, we should talk about that more.
We should, and you know, with this Vegas deal that we're closing, we should start to look at that from outside and inside perspective as soon as possible. So we got to get together.
Yes, please. And I have a plan, and it's in various places, and I would love to talk to you. Let's just meet, sit down, and really.
All right, cool. This week.
Yes.
Let's go.
I'm down.
All right. I'm going to Top Golf after this. Maybe you want to join me.
I've got to pick up my girlfriend from the airport, maybe later.
Yeah. Sure.
Still there.
Yeah, it is later. All right, cool. All right, awesome, Dwight. Great work. Great job. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. This is another one of the legends showing their, you know, everybody's got gifts, right? Like Dwight's ability to be a great host, great thinks in this way, like really want people to have great experiences when they stay. That's why he's been brought on as a GP member of the Ogden deal that we have going on as well. So awesome. Cool. Hey, last person that I know wanted to share here also is Jessica Garcia. So Jessica, you're like infamous to be, you know, everybody probably knows you. You're on every single call. And I don't know if you have a presentation, or if you want to share anything with with everybody here, or if you just want to talk. I know I just want to give everybody an opportunity that wanted to speak here today? Jess?
Hey guys, sorry. I'm on my way to the emergency room with a friend of mine.
Oh,
But
okay, no worries.
yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, but I'm definitely gonna put something together for you guys for next week. But
Okay.
like I did say on the call the other day, though, and I'm really excited about it, is the fact that we all have the opportunity. We all, like I said, one thing we all know how to do is how to play team. And it's obvious by the results we had with Ogden. So that's something that we can all talk about. It's a great thing to teach as well as something to learn. So I definitely want to put something together on how we play team
Mhm.
with each other. So anyway, this is a great presentation, both of you, Dwight and Natalia. You guys knocked it out of the park. I have big shoes to fill next week.
Awesome, awesome. Cool. All right,
Yeah.
well, anybody want to share anything? Oh, go ahead, Svelo.
Quick question. Hello. Hey, Jessica, how you doing? Quick question for Dwight. Dwight, two questions. What do you think about co-living? And would you invest in a co-living deal yourself?
Co-living. Can you help define that a little bit better, please, for me? What does that look like?
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. So basically, co-living is you buy a house, make sure you have enough space for people to park in front of it. You can add on, maybe divide the living room into an additional bedrooms, the garage into additional bedroom also, and you rent it out by the room. That's the whole concept of the co-living.
Oh, okay, yeah. So basically, you own the house and you're renting out some of the rooms, and you're living there too.
But you rent all the rooms, so there is a common space. The kitchen's going to be shared, and every room's gonna have an individual lock, a
I see.
code
And this would
to get
be
it.
on Airbnb, like short term, not year leases.
Well, the concept, the way they do it so far, what I know is you rent the house to yourself, you own the house, and you provide memberships. So every person who chooses to, he can furnish them. A lot of people, they do half the house, the rooms are empty, and maybe they furnish 2, 3, or 4 of them, depends on the demand. So so whoever's going to be renting the rooms, they're a member of that house. So that's how you can have only one homeowner insurance. Can dissect it even more, but that's the whole concept.
So they're a member.
It seems like you're not quite familiar with the co-living concept.
I mean, a little bit. I think you threw a little curveball there with the membership thing. Yeah, like co-op, I guess. Maybe what they used to be called. Everybody contributes. Well, membership though. So they pay a monthly membership instead of monthly rent.
Correct. So the mentorship that I'm looking at, they do it monthly. My friend, a good friend in Jacksonville, they do it bi-weekly. So I guess right now I'm learning more and more different the way they do it, different variety. So depends on their like.
I see. Okay. It sounds to me like that might be the result of some of these very harsh regulations and laws that make it almost impossible to do Airbnb. I know that some people have found business models that are a little bit of a loophole, and they say, no, we're not a short-term rental, we're a membership group, or we're this is owned by a corporation, and these are all owners of the corporation, and they get to sleep here whenever they want, and but it's not a timeshare either. It's I feel like it could be that type of business model, and you can make that work. But for if Airbnb is driving a ton of traffic, a ton of eyeballs, and they're doing your sales and marketing for you, basically. And so if you want to get that traffic from Airbnb, you're going to need to be able to just list the room or the house, uh, or the apartment, you're going to be able to list it there and have people be able to rent it for the days that they want it. They choose the weekend and whatnot. And the more that you complicate that, the more that you say, okay, yeah, I see that you chose this weekend, but actually you have to become a member of this company and pay this membership. That can really complicate things, and then they're just going to leave, and they're before they book your house. So there's a couple thoughts on it.
Yeah.
I would avoid it if you
So-
can. I think just owning a house and Airbnb-ing it is better if you can do that legally with a license.
Okay. That concept actually is for 3 months, 6 months, and 12 months. So it's not going to be, they charge bi-weekly, but it's a minimum 3-month commitment. You're going to charge more if they do like only for 3 months. If you do 6 months, it's a little bit less. When you commit yourself for a year, you're going to charge me a little bit less. So technically, those are living spaces. It's not an Airbnb concept. It's like, like instead of renting the whole house to one person, like old school, if you cash flow $200-300, $500, some people are happy. But every time they leave, you cannot rent it for a couple of months, or your cushion is gone. So this gives you more consistency to what I've seen so far. And people, if they cannot, they may have the ability to rent two-bedroom apartment complex, but it's too expensive. Why would they spend that money, $1,400, $1,500, for example, in Las Vegas? Right now it's going up $1,600, $1,800, and $2,000. They can spend $800 to $900 for a room, especially when they're by themselves. And there we go until they put their feet together. There's many. It's not for everybody. You're not gonna have dogs. They need to have a camaraderie rules between each other. So I just want to pick your brains on it. Thank you, Dwight.
Sounds interesting. Yep. Thank you.
I think, personally, maybe in the future it moves in that direction. But when I buy also, like, I want to see what type of market share that commands in any given market, right? Like how many people are actually renting by rooms, right? I feel like that's, when people are renting by rooms, they get together with their friends. It's usually people that just graduated college or something. And they're like, let's go rent a house together. Right. It's hard for me to see like, people that already have careers are just like, let me go and rent a room with complete strangers in the house, commit to 6 months, a year, when I have no idea who my roommates are. Like that for me is an uphill battle for that business strategy. So that's my take on that. Especially, I don't know, this whole membership thing, unless they have a whole lot of people in their network that goes around and lives in different houses like that. I don't know if there's a platform that people can vet each other out and then go and rent the space. Like I'm not 100% sure. It's almost like couch surfing, but 6 months at a time with a bedroom. And I think people shouldn't be buying houses and using that as a model to make sense of the underwriting. I think the underwriting always has to make sense with long-term rentals, and then all of these other things are the icings on the top. You can do different business strategies, but that at the end of the day, if all shit hits the fan, you can just rent it out to somebody. It's still cash flows, right? Just rent the whole house out to somebody, cash flows. Yeah, when nobody's there, you could be like, okay, let's try it out. Let's try renting out the rooms, right? Because you may find that by renting out the rooms, usually a room or 2 rooms or something is empty, and you end up making about the same as what a long-term rental makes anyways, right? And you just have more headaches as you got different people living in the same house. Now you got 4-5 different people that may be calling you at any given time to complain about something, instead of just one person that lives in the house, right? So that's just something to think about. Ali says there sees a lot of these types of things in New York City. Yeah, and you're probably looking at mostly, I would say, people that are, coming out of rehab, incarcerated. They don't have the opportunity maybe illegal immigrants, things like that. That's probably what I see that you will be attracting a lot of. So if you're ready to do that, I do think there is a market, obviously, for someone to take advantage of that. It's just something, a lot of headaches that I personally probably wouldn't get into. That's what my advice for this is. It just seems like let's just like rent out, like let's create a fraternity house, like I lived in one. I know what it's like. I would never be the landlord of that fraternity house. So, you know. All right. So cool. Well, that was fun. That was interesting. I got to even know Natalia and Dwight a little bit deeper. You guys got an opportunity to create a presentation. I have a really great idea. I think you guys each should create a little mini course on what you're teaching, and we put it into our online Mighty Networks community. That can be something that will be a free course. People will get to know who you are. Hey, I got a course. Go right here. And as they build up that community, more people will see you and your offerings. It could be a small course. You can create evergreen courses, $30 a person. I mean, I think, Dwight, what you share was very valuable. And it could be a great lead magnet for you to share something like this for somebody. And you could probably build up a massive email list just with what you shared right there. Or you can turn it into a $15-$20 Airbnb course that you just post all over online, put some money behind some ads. People won't even think twice about getting all of this for 15-20 bucks, especially they're going to start Airbnb, and you can evergreen that product, right? So same thing with you, Natalia, building a course out like that and starting with free, starting with content. I think it's all really good. Cool. Anybody have any questions, shares? This has been it's something new that we're kind of testing for this Thursday call. See if we can revive it, showcase more people, and get more people to be a part of this community. I want to showcase more people, right? So Ali, also you too, whenever you're ready, all of you guys that are here all the time, whenever you're ready to be in the spotlight, just let me know. And it'd be great. It's great practice. It's a great opportunity to get people to know you, and just make more connections. All right. So, okay. Preparing myself. Yes, we will see you on Saturday on the Deal Tank call.
All right.
Yeah.
Great call,
All right,
guys.
cool.
Natalia and
Wait,
Dwight,
so
both of you.
before everyone leaves, I know Natalia brought something up about the ACIM calls, so I do want to just share a link for anybody to register for those calls, and then basically just get reminders. If I can find it. Okay, here it is.
I don't think I've ever registered for that.
Yeah.
Neither did I. Neither did I.
It's a good thing to get reminders. I mean, you guys have it. You
Yep.
guys are there all the time, so you don't really need it. But reminders are great.
Alex,
You
and
know.
what time is it? 8:45 in the morning?
No. So, you mean the Deal Tank or the ACIM call?
The ACIM.
So that will be 7 a.m. our time, which is
Okay.
10 a.m. Eastern.
Okay. So
The Deal Tank is at 8 a.m. our time, 11 a.m. Eastern on Saturday. So yeah, give Dwight a follow on Instagram. Dwight is very knowledgeable in the experience and short-term, midterm space. So great job, both of you guys.
Thank you.
Looking forward to seeing what results. What's the result from you guys getting an
Thank you.
opportunity to prepare this, right? So cool.
Monica, and I wanted to give you a shout out for that TikTok video. I can't get enough of
Wait
that
a
shit,
second
man.
here.
I'm right
Hold
here with my
on.
friend
Before we
in the ER,
leave.
and I'm gonna play it for her just to cheer her up. All right.
I love my
Hold on.
TikTok.
Wow. Wait.
And let's all
All
follow
for her.
Monica on
We're
TikTok.
all
Oh my
gonna
God.
follow.
Wait. Where is it? I gotta post
I'm
this.
Oh, that's
downloading the
hilarious.
app again.
It was after a movie
I'm
called
downloading the app
Sunset
again.
Boulevard, and she was
Sunset
crazy for
Boulevard.
the spotlight. And the scene is just like that, except not at the very end. I mean, she just
I didn't actually at first recognize that it was you. I thought it was a movie clip that you were showing, but wow.
Yeah, no,
I watched it about 3 or 4 times. About 3 or 4 times.
remember I
watched
said
it.
I have like wigs and all that. So yeah, that's what I do. So
All right. Well, we
Yeah.
posted it in
You
the
made me
chat.
download the app for like the 6th time because I've erased it like 6 times. I'm like, nope, no more TikTok. This shit is addictive. I don't want to. But now you made me download it again just so I can follow you
Hidden
and watch the
talents,
video.
hidden
it
talents
is,
for
yeah.
sure.
And oh, and one last thing, which was funny because William, you brought up something about Craigslist, and I was like, oh, another fun fact. Back in the days before we had dating apps when I was single, I used to date off of Craigslist. Isn't that crazy?
What?
It's a different
What?
time.
Yeah, different times. And I
that's
was
nuts.
living in San Francisco at the time. Isn't that crazy? So I don't know. I could have had a lunch date with a serial killer. I have no clue, but everybody knew where I was at lunch. So that was just hilarious.
Oh my God, interesting. I gotta hear more about that later. So
You're the wildest Chicana I've ever freaking met, Monica.
Anyways, you guys did a fabulous job. Great job.
Yeah.
Keep it up.
great job. Thank you guys for being here. And we'll see you guys on the Deal Tank call on Saturday. So dealtank.tv. Check it out. Join our community. Talk soon. Have a blessed Thursday.
Blessings, man, everybody.
Bye, everyone.